Hello, once again. I am Pastor Stephen Darby. I'm back. I have this topic today I want to deal with real fast. It's called Hair, the Black Woman's Struggle. Now, I know as well as you do that this is definitely a struggle. There's definitely a lot of debate with black hair, with black hair, especially between black women. Even black men have chimed in on the debate, and it's basically, I guess, natural or straight or or permed or wigs or weaves or dreadlocks. I'm not sure, but I want to deal with something today. I want to add something to this because I believe that black women really don't understand where their image has come from. In other words, you are not black woman. You were not the originator and the controller of your image. Your image was controlled and originated through another race of people. And once we understand that, I think the image of the black woman will become more healthy, and we'll begin to see the black women being more like themselves and not walking in an image that was placed upon them. Let me show you what I mean. Let me start off. I have some notes that I wrote because there was a lot I was writing and I just wanted to remember it all. Let me start off by saying the black woman is the most beautiful woman on the planet. I'm bar none. Now, I'm not saying this as a brother who's never been off his block, okay? Who's never been around the corner, never been out of town. I've been to Nigeria three times. I've been to South Africa twice. I've been to Ethiopia once, and I've been to Uganda once. I've been to Paris, and I've also been to Dubai. So let me tell you, I've seen black women almost all over the world. I can truly say that. I've even seen them in France. I've seen black women all over the world, and hands down, bar none, they are the most beautiful, but they also have the worst self-image and the worst self-esteem than any other race of woman. And I had to ask why. I know you want to know why. I know black men should want to know why. And I'm glad you asked the question why, because that's what I'm here to tell you. The Bible says, in all you're getting, get understanding. And so I think getting understanding about yourself, getting understanding about why our black women are the way they are, instead of just talking down and talking clowning them and about it. I think we need some understanding. Okay, I think understanding brings light causes a person to see what needs to be changed, and then they make a an adjustment. Okay, now while in Nigeria, which by the way have some of the most beautiful black women in the world are in Nigeria. I noticed that almost all of the Nigerian women wore wigs, and I was shocked. I was expecting to see natural hair, but I saw some of the longest wigs I've ever seen. And I knew in America that black women wore wigs and much weave, but I was shocked that African women was also into it and was also wearing wigs too. I asked myself a question, and I said, if these two group of women, the black woman in America, the Nigerian women in Africa, if they're thousands of miles apart, many will never have contact with one another. Why do they both think that European style hair looks best? And that was just an honest question from an honest observation. I mean, I was expecting, you go to Africa, I was expecting to see a lot of natural stuff going on, but to my surprise, they have more wigs there than I see the black women in America. The black women in America are more into well, now they may be into wigs more, but it was more like permed and relaxed hair. But over there, they was basically wearing long, wigs, and I was shocked. I just wanted to know why. So so um so as soon as now let me where stop at, because these are some notes I was writing so I wouldn't forget. Okay, so uh, immediately when I asked that question, why are Nigerian women also wearing wigs as African American women? A thought popped into my head. The media. Immediately I said, the media. What do these two uh, uh, people groups have in common? Well, they have the media. So Africa looks to the U.S. as a big brother. So when they see our black entertainers and our black artists, our black sports stars, or whoever's famous here, uh, they literally copy what they see the African American do in America. So when they look at our entertainers and stars, they see permed hair, wigs, and European style hair, and they don't see kinky or natural hair most of the time. So they equate beauty also with the European look. Now, let's get to the root of this because I really want to get down to the root cause of this. I think you'll be kind of shocked, and also you'll be kind of shocked, and you'll also be human when you really understand a lot of where this imaging came from. Understand this is imaging. This is not your image. This was an image that was created for you. The same way the black man has an image that was created for him. He didn't create it. He didn't have the power, means, or money to create his image, but yet you see him walking in the image that it's not him. Okay, I'll do something on that later, but right now we're going to talk about the black woman and the struggle with her hair. Okay, now when we look closely at the white, excuse me, when we look closely at the white-owned media, we can see the psychological programming and of their definition of what beauty is. In other words, because the people that own the news, that own the movies, the sitcoms, the producers, the directors, the music industry, it's all ran by white, mainly Europeans, some Jewish people. It's not ran or owned or distributed by black people. So therefore, the images that we are seeing are not necessarily our images. If we don't own anything, if we don't own the studios, the cameras, we don't own the television time, the images that's coming across are not ours. It was put upon, and I'm gonna show you, so you can go back and research this and do your own history. I don't believe you take anybody's word for it nowadays. Go back and do your own research. Look, listen to me. To understand the black woman, you must understand white media. Okay? To understand the black woman, you must understand white media, which is films, sitcoms, and also the music industry. Uh, the white media has psychologically damaged the black woman's image of herself based upon the white supremacist lie that black women were unattractive. Remember that if even from slavery, they had to, in order for them to be supreme, then their women had to be far superior than our women. And also, they had to hide the fact. Well, let me read my notes and then I'll elaborate. This was done to hide the fact that many black female slaves were chosen to be bed wenches and sexual concubines. Okay, so they use movies and media to show the black woman as unattractive as they could by creating ancient mamas and heavy-set old maids. Now, back in the turn of the century, especially when movies and picture shows and media was just forming, uh, they would show blacks, of course, in the worst roles. Why? Why do you think they showed like movies like Gone with the Wind, these ancient mama looking darky, almost monkey looking people? The reason why they did that was because they were using the media to get it out of your head that they were ever attracted to the black woman. So they made her look so bad, like do rags on her head and talking all ignorant and country and talking all slow, and either she's a fat nanny or she was just a goofy buck tooth. These are even in the early cartoons you'll see that they were portraying the black woman as a unattractive servant. Now this one I told you it was done because they did not want people to think that they were actually was attracted and was using the black women, and this is documented. They were using the black women for concubines, and they were using them also for sex. It's just documented. You can find those facts out. So now they used them. Okay, while giving this wretched image to the black woman, they placed the white woman on a pedestal as the highest standard of beauty. Okay, so let me read that again. While giving this wretched image to the black woman, they placed the white woman on the high on a pedestal as the highest standard of beauty. Every picture of the white woman was always one of chaste and purity, while every picture of the black woman was one of servitude. Then, like when pictures first started, it was one of just a servant, a slave, a maid, a cook, uh, 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 and now it's of looseness. Okay, so now the stereotype of the black woman is one of looseness, and I'll show you how we got there. Um, uh, Now, to understand the great hair debate, you must first understand the media's role. So this is the reason why I'm saying the images of Black America was not it's not a Black American it's not a Black American origin. We didn't start these images. In other words, if you go back and look at the exploitation movies like Foxy Brown, these pimp movies, we didn't own those cameras. Those was put out by white studio executives, by white producers, and if you go back and look at the Black exploitation area, even some of the white directors would say how racist they were, how the atmosphere of racism when they was putting those movies out was really heavy, because they were literally using movie to rewrite history. They was, instead of showing us in the light of a strong people that had endured some of the worst Holocaust ever, they showed us as buffoons first, minstrels, coons, sleeping these stepping fetches, and then it goes on up into the pimps and the jive turkey and the Negro in the corner and the do nothing type of Negro. That's what they put us as after that. And then they did the same thing with our women. They started the woman off as the ancient mama, and then she moved on up from the ancient mama to when you get in the 70s and 60s and you start seeing those exploitation films and you see that she was just a loose whore, just some pimp's whore, just ready to take her clothes off at the drop of a dime. That's the image that they put out on us. We had nothing to do. We didn't write the scripts, the screenplays, and we didn't direct or produce those movies. We were just in front of the camera, and they were using the blacks the same way they using our black entertainers now, like the Lil Waynes, the Lil G's, the Jay Z's. They paying them, making them rich for using our images, and they're showing the degradation and the worst of us, and they're paying those the black people in the entertainment industry to use their images to create a stereotype, to continue that stereotype that the black man and the black woman really was no better off than when they was enslaved. And that's really what the mindset is coming back to. So you have to understand all of that, black woman, to understand the issue with why you have one of the greatest issues with your hair, your beauty, and your image. Okay, you have to understand what the media did, because as a little girl, you grew up on images. Images is what shaped your world. So when you start seeing these images of servitudes and black girls not good enough, and her hair is, and it's always a problem with trying to get away from her look of her natural look. So that was a psychological thing that happened to cause the black woman to think that she wasn't as good as. So that built a complex. So let me go on to show you something. You can research this yourself. There are three characters that the white media has stereotyped black women into. In other words, if you go back from the beginning of film and you come all the way up to the 1990s, to the 2000s, you will see that there's only three characters of black women that has always been in front of the TV screen. And you got to understand that the Bible says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is." In other words, the whatever you see the most and you meditate on, it will eventually become your truth. It will get down into your heart, and if you meditate on that long enough, it will produce your belief system. So, and I can prove this. When they did a study, you can look this up on YouTube. There was a study done by black children, and they put a black doll and a white doll in front of a black child, and the black child always usually went to the white doll as the good one and the black doll as the bad one. Now you say, how did that child get those images of themselves? Where did they get that from? Because they grew up around black people mainly, so they didn't see a lot, but they got it from TV. They got it from the images that were placed in front of the television as showing blacks were mainly nothing but buffoons and loud or coons, or just these black roles. Even in cartoons they have it, and so it was psychological program to automatically cause those young children to grow up and not really like themselves. It happened to us when we was going to school. I grew up in the 80s, and in the 80s everybody wanted to be like the Cosbys, and we was running around black folk acting white, mainly being white because that was acceptable. That was when everybody was preppy. Preppy was just another word to me for black folks trying to do a white thing. That's what I saw preppy as. But we were running around in the hood in the ghetto with tree torns and you know and varsity jackets on and the tight jeans, thinking that we were somehow, because we were dressing the part, that somehow we would be respected as that. And that's really what has happened to our image. We That's the image that they said was successful, so that's the image that we had to ascribe to if we wanted to look like we wasn't a thug or a criminal. Okay, now, so there are three characters that the white media has stereotyped the black woman into, and these all come in. And now listen, there was a study done. The maker of the sitcom Good Times, his name is Norman Lear. You know, he made a lot of sitcoms, and they studied the black family before they made those sitcoms, and they took the characters from the sitcoms from a study that was done in some college, did a study on what is the black family, and they came up with uh, and this is what they studied the black family and said this is the black family. And they said there's a dominant female, which is the mother, older dominant female. The man is usually weak or soft or not there. You got a sassy sister, you got nosy neighbors, and you got a buffoonish clown son, and then you got one militant in the family. That's how they came up with Good Times. If you know anything about Good Times, they did that show and said this is the black family. Now you must understand that that show Good Times gives us a mindset of how white America was viewing us, not how we saw ourselves. We played a role. You got to realize they were actors. They played a role. They was not acting as themselves. They was acting as a script, and the script said this is how you're supposed to be. Even if you go back and study the exploitation movies, all that jive turkey talk, that blacks didn't come up with that stuff. That's the way white people saw us. They the ones wanted us. You would even see producers and directors saying jive it up, black it up, nigger it up, get more niggerish with it, because they wanted that jivey, almost over exaggerated acting, just to make us look more coonish and buffoonery, and more coonery and buffoonery is what they wanted. And of course, when blacks are getting paid, just like today, they're willing to you let them use their image to push whatever. So of course those blacks was down with it, and I'm so tired of these ancient mammoth blacks talking about, well, that's all the roles they have for us. Well, I feel like you shouldn't have acted. You should have just said, I don't want nothing to do with y'all movies if all we gonna be is maids and shoe shining and smiling and watermelon eating, stepping and fetching. I think they should have just turned down the roles and said, you know what, we just not gonna be no bed wenches and whores, and we not gonna be no ancient mamas and be watching white babies all the time. I think they should have said, we're not gonna project those images onto our people, because they should have had a little more sense to know whatever we're seeing on film is becoming reality. So art is imitating life. Well, basically life is imitating art. So what we were seeing is what we became. Okay, let me show you something. So Norman Lear did a study, and the Good Times was what they said the black Good Times is a direct understand the show. The sitcom Good Times is direct gives you direct understanding of what white people thought the black family was. That show itself put us in a monolith as a people. In other words, they said this is who we are, and that stuck with us. And that's why you got to understand the media is very, very powerful, because those images, those that stuck with us. That's why that show was so groundbreaking, because they said this is who black people are. This is who black America is. Even though we have conservative people, liberal people, we have people that black people that hunt, people that fish, people that we do have those that sell drugs and drink wine, but those bummy drinking wine characters. That's all they had in Good Times. It wasn't the professionals and all of that. You very seldom saw that, because they was painting a picture. It's very it's very imperative that you understand that this is what shaped the culture of black people in America. Not just that sitcom, but sitcoms like that and those other stereotypical movies that put it into white psyche that this is who black people are. Also gave us an image and said that that's who we are. We even adopted it ourselves. If you go back to the first movie, one of the first movies that was produced was called The Birth of a Nation. It was the most racist movie ever. I want you to Google that movie and find it on YouTube, and you will see that even then, back in the 20, I mean, it could have been had to be in the 20s. I mean, it was a black and white, silent movie where they had the Ku Klux Klan was the heroes, and they had the black people with blackface painted on running around as black men raping white women, and that was the whole movie. And the KKK rides in at the end of the movie and shoots down and kills all the black men and becomes a hero. And they painted black men as these sex crazed. All they want is a white woman, and that's Birth of a Nation was really one of the movies that started that psychological lie, even to white supremacy, that whites were superior and that the blacks were inferior. So don't tell me that image doesn't have a lot. They even in Nazi Germany, they knew that Hitler used propaganda of movies and television to put these images in front of the people in order to brainwash and propagandize the people to push his agenda. So the media has a big part to play in shaping the way people think. And that's what exactly has happened to the black man and black woman in America. Okay, let me get on. So from this good time sitcom, we have three characters that black women are forced to be. Okay, in especially when in the movies. Okay, now these three characters that was once art are now what they are in real life. Because life will imitate art. Life will imitate art. Okay, the number one character, and then if you remember, was Florida Evans. Now, Florida Evans was the Ancient Mommy character. Now, she goes all the way back to Gone with the Wind, the first black characters on TV. Remember the Bugs Bunny cartoon with the old black Ancient Mommy woman? They wouldn't even show nothing but the woman's, they wouldn't show nothing but her stockings rolled down. They wouldn't even show her whole body because she's just a fat, Ancient Mommy style, talking that sassy way. That's the character that Norman Lear saw as Florida Evans. She's a servitude character, very unattractive, usually associated with natural or kinky black hair. If you remember, Florida Evans, the mother, she sported the afro throughout the whole series. She always had a little low natural fro. This was the first media's image of black women. In other words, this was the first they were shaping the image of black women. This is how white men covered their lust and rape of their servants and maids. They did it by putting out these movies to make you think that black women were so unattractive that they would not possibly want to be caught dead having sex with a black woman. But we know that's very untrue, because that's why we have so many light-skinned people, because they were definitely having sex, and they covered it by painting the black woman as a very unattractive woman, or the ancient mammy character type. Now we have those today. Those are the big mamas. Those are the Medeas that Tyler Perry and them are playing. That's that type of woman, that old unattractive. Now I'm not saying our mothers and women grandmothers are unattractive. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the stereotype that they are playing. Um, it was also done to cover up their slave girls during slavery. So we know that they were getting slave girls pregnant, and they had to do their best to cover it all up. And that's how they got that. You can't be a white supremacist if you're having sex with black people. So that's why they use that. Also, the second character was Thelma. Thelma the sister. Thelma was the sister, and she was the angry, sassy, sarcastic, smart aleck, very aggressive and defensive female. Okay, this is the number one role for most black women in today's entertainment. This is the number one role, not just in entertainment, but in life. You all have embodied that Thelma spirit, just sassy and neck rolling and talk crazy, and but that image was not Thelma's. That image was produced by a white person, writing a script and wanting them to act that way, and we adopted those images. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Thelma was like a sexy feminist. She was a feminist, strong feminist, but she was what modern women want to be today. She was beautiful to look at, but difficult to be with. Beautiful to look at, but difficult to be with. Okay, that's the embodiment of our black women today, where they always say they need a strong black man. Why? Because of being difficult. And this is the role that was just passed, that you just walking in a role that was just passed down to you. These are the images that we saw. This is what we moved into. And if you ever noticed, Thelma's hair was always permed and well kept. So Thelma was could have been a modern day woman actually, and that's the role we see today. Look at shows like The View, shows like The Talk. Why do they always go get a sassy? They got to get a sassy black woman and a honey child and hand on her hip and talking crazy and loud. That's that Thelma character that they always go get that Thelma character to, and these women like Whoopi Goldberg, most of these women are stereotyped to be this sassy black friend. They want that sassy black friend, and the white women sit back and allow the black women to be their bulldogs, and this black women go to turn into something, and the white woman to sit back and let her sassy black friend handle it, and the black woman is ready and ready to jump and do it. So that's that Thelma character, and then you got the number three. If you remember in Good Times, it was Walona. Now Walona, she is the loose, desperate, can't get a man female. And that's a third character that you see in movies. Think about the movies and the sitcoms you see. These are the three characters you see in front of us on TV. These are the three characters that even famous women, even women who are very famous, they still fall in that category. They can't get a man. They desperate. They're sex kittens. They're sassy ancient mammy, or they're either ancient mammy and very serving too. Let's just all get along type. These are the three characters, and you got to understand that because this was placed upon us as a people, our women adopted these characters, and and that's what they think beauty, and that's the image of beauty that they have. Okay, so let me keep going. This Valona character. These are the Foxy Browns. They don't want nothing but a good time. A side chick. She's a side chick type woman. Plenty of dating but never marrying. She. This is the poor me sister, the one that I'm just always getting hurt. During black exploitation era, she always played the pimp's whores. She is the modern day ratchet or the ride or die chick. This is what Hollywood is trying to really turn all black women into. This is why every now Hollywood is going beyond the strong professional black woman, and when you see black women starring in roles, she's always got to look at the show Scandal. Look at how they got this black girl just throwing herself at this white, just letting this, just doing all kind of things, just total degrading herself for this white man. And this is the image that they have of our sisters. You can name even other movies where you've seen our black women. They just throw themselves at this just loose as they can be. But then on a brother, they sassy, talking crazy and stuff like that because those are the images. These are not your images. You didn't make these images, sisters. Y'all didn't do this. And the same people that created those images are the ones that told you what hair looks like this and what hair is attractive and what's not. You had to get it from watching these films and these movies and these sitcoms. Let me get done. Every movie, sitcom, or talk show you have ever watched has cast black women into one of these three categories. She um, she has grown up with these images of being either unattractive, mean and nasty, or loose and promiscuous. Those are the three: unattractive, mean or nasty, or loose and promiscuous. That's that good time paradigm, that good time caricatures that has been placed upon black women. And if you look at any movie, any sitcom, you're gonna see, any talk show, you're gonna see these three women. That black women can only be these three women, and that's the reason why the image of beauty is not hers. She don't have her own image of beauty. Her image of beauty is what people behind the camera said was beautiful. It's what people pay those bills. It's what people that write those checks say is beautiful. And you got to realize who's behind the cameras. It's not us. It's not the black faces used behind the camera. It's not the black faces high up in the executive offices. It's not the black. Don't get twisted because you see a couple of black people owning stuff. Look behind that and find out what you see. You'll find out that these are white people that are saying this is what attractive is. Okay. Now, let me keep going. I'm almost done. Stay with me. These were not images the black people placed upon them. These were not images that the black woman placed upon herself. The black man didn't even create these images because we don't own the companies that have the TV, the cable, the satellites, that's the television stations that's pushing these images. We don't own it. We are just they using the black man's image to almost be the enemy of the black woman, and we've been played by the media, and nobody wants to say anything about the media for some reason. Um, these are white America, white owned, and some Jewish owned media outlets that release these images that has shaped the black woman's image of herself. So these the media has shaped the black woman's image of herself, and also the black man's media, the black man's image of himself. When you study ancient history, you find that black women were queens and the finest and most desired. But after the whitewashing of history, she has been castigated as nothing more than an object for men's pleasure. You can watch the rap videos, which are directed, produced, and distributed by white companies who pay black men to exploit their own women. Trust me, they are not owning these companies. They are just being prostituted. The black men are being prostituted to use their images to degrade their own women. And it is not black. So you got to understand, everything you see on TV is scripted. That means it's not, nothing happens by happenstance. Somebody had to write down that. Somebody had to write that joke. Somebody had to write that line. Somebody had to say, this is the image I want in front of the camera. So when you see blacks looking bad on camera, remember somebody wrote that, and it usually wasn't a black person that wrote that. It was usually somebody off the camera that's still saying, this is what black should be. That's the reason why Dave Chappelle got out of the industry, because they were telling him, this is what black, we want you to continue to do things to degrade your people. And he had to get out. He said, no, this is not what black is. Y'all trying to cast, you all are not laughing with us anymore. Now we are the butt of the joke. You all are laughing at us. That's why bruh got out. You can look at his part of his interview on YouTube if you can want to find that. Now I'm almost done. Um. So what? So no. So what does all this have to do with her? Everything. It has everything to do with her. Who said that straight hair was better looking than natural or kinky hair? It wasn't black people. Who said it? It was the white media, starting from you as a little girl and starting all the way from the commercials of Barbie and all of the way up to the Gone with the Wind with the sassy nappy heads with the buckwheats and all of that, all the way up. We were looking terrible on TV. Our natural state. In our natural state, we look terrible. Remember the movie Roots? We just look terrible. So why would anybody want to identify with what everybody has deemed terrible? That's why we didn't like our kinky hair. We didn't like what we had, because it was a psychological plan to make us not even like ourselves. So that's why we want to change it, and we want to change our hair to look to what is accepted. Everybody's going to do that. If people don't like something, they're going to try to find a way to change it. The problem is not that you don't have the right to change it. It's why do you think it's not good enough? That's the question. Why do you think it's not good enough? So it wasn't black people. It was okay. Who said that the natural curves of black women were not as acceptable as the white women? It wasn't black people. We didn't put that in magazines and movies and sitcoms. We had nothing to do with that. We didn't even make the album covers you used to see. That was all created by the white Europeans who owned the companies. This, if you go back some of these movies that came out, remember the movie Ray? You saw who really owned the company. Remember the movie Cadillac Records? If you remember the movie with Beyonce and whoever else that was in the movie, and you saw who owned the record companies. The record companies were owned by white people, and they are the ones that put those images out. Okay, now when you saw remember, if you remember, like when Berry Gordy owned Motown, you saw classy black people. You saw people with suits and dresses looking classy, not sex, taking your clothes off, trashy. You saw class. But most of the times you never saw us. We were never behind the camera. We were always in front of the camera. Let me get done. Um, Okay, who said that darker skin was unattractive? Not black people. Understand that we as a race did not create racial stereotypes, uh, but the white Europeans created racial stereotypes. We didn't create racial stereotypes. We were fine in Africa. They came over there and took us, and then all of a sudden classified the dark races somehow as less than the white races. We didn't have nothing to do with that. So they used every psychological weapon to make us believe we were cursed and a wretched people. And it still happens today. Just turn on the TV and you will see these same stereotypes that formed long ago, that makes us feel inferior, ugly, and less than. So with that being said, God has made you in his image. If he numbered the hairs on your head, surely he approved of the texture. Everything about our black skin and hair has to do with strength. Even DNA evidence has shown that black people have dominant genes and were the original people of the earth. It was only within the past 500 years that history was whitewashed and all the great history of black women and men was changed, erased, or forgotten. So to all my natural sisters, the original is beautiful. The original you is beautiful and more than enough to satisfy any real man. Any man that can't like the original you, he's a superficial man, and that brother will probably leave you anyway because he's only tied to things that are fantasy and don't change. And you know your body, everything gonna change as you get older. So trust me, he's not real anyway. To all my sisters who are not there yet, in other words, if you ain't ready, if you ain't with the natural or the original, okay. Uh, 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 um, um, Continue and if to all my sisters who are not there yet, and continue to hold on to your wigs, your weaves, and your perms, I still think you look better than any other woman on earth. So I still think that you look better. I would just ask you to find out about the original you, not the you that another race or someone else uh, gave to you or said you were, but the original you. And I think once you take the time to find out the original you and begin to like what you see in the mirror, whether it matches up with the latest magazine or the latest trend or hairstyle, whatever, once you begin to do that, I think that psychological programming will break, and I think that you'll begin to realize to build up other things and not just the outer person, but begin to build up that inner person, and that inner person is what really keeps a person in a relationship. The outer stuff will fade. Even the Bible says, man looks on the outside, but God looks at the heart. So if you really want a great relationship, begin to build up the inside. Once you find out the original, you start liking it. So like whatever your hair texture is, just like it. Whatever. If you don't like it, okay. If you want to do something about it, okay. I ain't knocking you. I'm just saying, start trying to like what you got. If that's your real eye color, have your real eye color. If your hips and butts ain't that big, quit padding everything. Just enjoy what you got. Because once you begin to like and accept you, I guarantee you, you'll find somebody that will love and accept you too, or the person in your life will learn to love and accept you too. I'm Pastor Stephen Darby. Thank you for listening to this episode of DTV Blog. Listen, comment, hit me up, let me know what you think, and until next time, be blessed.